Happy Pride Month! I'm here with 5 great queer comedies. My usual order of things is to have them ranked from most stressful to least stressful. Yet, none of these are particularly stressful. Just some, for the most part, queer joy and good old comedies. Gay people. Pretty funny. Who'd have thought it? Right, so before getting to the first film, I've got a question to ask.
You tell me, do you know who the Watermelon Woman is?
I think she's from Philly. Is she from Philly?
Because The Watermelon Woman is, I think, possibly just about one of the greatest films ever made. Released in 1996 and directed by Cheryl Dunye, who also plays the lead. The story follows Cheryl, a black lesbian filmmaker, as she creates a documentary film about the Watermelon Woman, a 1930s queer black actress who time has seemingly forgotten. The film finds accessible and hilarious ways to tackle large themes of race, sexuality and queer erasure throughout history, whilst keeping it so thoroughly entertaining and poignant. It has authenticity in spades, showing tenderness and queer love and highlight barriers people put up even within the queer community. It has that rebellious, independent film feeling you want from 90s cinema. The feeling that people looked around and didn't see the films they wanted being made, so just went out and made them. The film isn't just representing queer women, but celebrating them. Having these interesting characters be people you want nothing more than to just get a beer with. Oh, to work in a video rental store. The Watermelon Woman explores a lot of erasure, and how throughout history, queer people are called anything but that, with historians saying people were roommates or very good friends. Cheryl looks back at a time when so little history has been preserved about queer women of colour, so she goes about creating and celebrating her own. In the UK, this is on Mubi, and also pops up on All 4, or Channel 4, or whatever it's called nowadays. So do yourself the favour when you get the chance. You will love The Watermelon Woman. Secondly, no queer comedy or queer comfort film list is complete without mention of the 2014 film Pride. So, let's discuss it. It focuses on the true story of the 1980s miners' strikes and how gay activists campaigned to help support them.
Die! Your gays have arrived!
You can't discuss this film without first bringing up its stellar cast. This electric ensemble has you both laughing and crying as they go about just being who they are in a time where it's not accepted. The bravery, boldness and hilarity of the characters is just so endearing. Managing to juggle quite so many characters in a natural way, letting them all have their own arcs, highlights the great writing. You get to spend a lot of time in 80s London, as well as an 80s Welsh village, which, to be perfectly honest, looks like a present-day Welsh village. It's not a comment on the film's production design, more a comment on Wales. God, I love that country. It just has one of the best English-speaking accents in the world, you know?
What I was told about lesbians can't be true, can they? You're all vegetarians.
God, it's so lovable. What a warm hug. It reinstates that hatred is taught and everyone can learn to do better. Quirky British comedies are now their own genre in themselves, and Pride definitely stands out amongst its peers. There are a lot of great scenes in this film, but I think the best one is just people making sandwiches. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I mean. Just give this charming film a shot. It'll leave your heart full of love. It's often on BBC iPlayer in the UK. Check it out. Thirdly, I cannot recommend Egghead and Twinkie enough. A fun coming-of-age comedy which is currently doing amazingly well on its film festival run. It's one of Letterboxd's highest-rated narrative films of the year so far, and for good reason. It tells the story of, you guessed it, Twinkie, an aspiring teenage animator on a road trip to visit her long-distance girlfriend, who she's never met in person before, as she travels with her childhood best friend, Egghead. The film is narrated by the unreliable Twinkie, recounting her version of events, which lead the characters to their current predicament. Whilst narratively sticking to tried and true genre conventions, it builds its unique voice through the kinetic camera work and queer Asian American perspective. The main character calls himself Twinkie from the idea of them being yellow on the outside and white on the inside, as she tries to own it so the bullies can't. Big question, but why do we watch films? For me, it's to venture out of my own perspective. I know I only get to see the world from a certain point of view, so seeing films like this and joining these characters on their road trip helps me understand a completely different point of view, which is so rarely seen on film, especially so authentically. Look at the team behind it. It is so important to look at who is telling these stories and to make sure we as audience members support the next generation of filmmakers. There are an infinite amount of amazing stories out there and plenty of filmmakers who want nothing more than to tell them to you. So find new and exciting talent. Take a chance on a filmmaker you're unfamiliar with, and maybe you could just find your new favourite storyteller. Egghead and Twinkie picked up an online audience through TikTok, which is amazing. but with me living under my rock, I only became aware of it when I was watching the final film. I was lucky enough to review it for the website DNC Film, so if you want my extended thoughts, I'll leave the link in the description. I'm uncertain as to the plans for its home release, but please seek it out when it's available. If you love rom-coms, coming-of-age films, or just road trip comedies, you really can't go wrong. Fourthly, Fire Island is a film I didn't expect to love as much as I did. If you're wanting a 2-hour holiday to a beautiful sunny island, then here's your ticket. Shot beautifully, this is such an easy watch, which is sometimes exactly what you need. Bowen Yang is so incredibly precious, and this is written and starring Joel Kim Booster, who is a comedian I've fallen in love with, writing a script that knows when to hit with constant one-liners, as well as balancing it with some great emotional moments. The story follows a group of queer best friends who take their annual trip to the infamous Fire Island Pines, gay paradise if you will. And after a surprise, it might make this their last summer there. This is a modern queer retelling of Pride and Prejudice with plenty of its own spice to mix things up. It's a film I didn't have too many expectations for going in, and it just has a way of pulling you into it. By the end, being so invested. I can't really describe it, but the location has major Scooby-Doo spooky island vibes in the best way. And I refuse to elaborate further on that. It's streaming now on Disney Plus or Hulu, depending on wherever you are in the world. If you've ordered in some pizza on a Friday night, Fire Island is a good shout to keep you company. Now, a quick apology. When I said none of these films are stressful, I may have lied. Law of Desire is a fun little erotic thriller made by one of the most emotive filmmakers working today, Pedro Almodovar. I couldn't forgive myself if I made a list of queer films and didn't include any of his. The synopsis is, a gay filmmaker becomes involved with an obsessive fan while still pining for his absent true love. Meanwhile, he shares a close but complex relationship with his trans sister, an actress. It's not your typical comedy with a billion one-liners, but a proper thriller with great comedic moments. Starring an obsessed Antonio Banderas, what's not to love? I adore the little details like the typewriter being in time with the music, like he's playing his instrument. This is a high-camp melodrama, which is a type of film we can always do with more of. Everyone's wardrobe is immaculate, and whilst definitely a thriller, it has great moments of queer and trans joy. You'll never be more refreshed than seeing Tina cooling off from the Spanish heat and loving life. Almodovar is such a special filmmaker. Pain and Glory is one of the all-time greats, and I cannot contain my excitement for Strange Way of Life. His filmography is one I'm gradually working through and having a blast doing so. Right, they're the films. Hope you found one that you're interested in. Let me know what you think. I really love putting this list together. I've got some exciting guest essays lined up for Pride Month, written by queer writers, and next week we'll be starting with one on Steven Universe. See you then.